Hello YouTube, and welcome in to another fantastic episode of Timberborn, where today we're going to be tackling a whole new challenge. By that I mean a challenge in Dune. Now I've got to be honest here. I'm a bit of a noob as far as the Dune space is concerned, but I do know that the Dune world is quite the chaotic place to live in. So let's check it out together, shall we? And as is customary for any beautiful episode of Timberborn that we do together, we get to name this wonderful place Shadowsville. I think we're on 67. Yes, I think that's the right number here. So that's no, that doesn't exist already. No, don't lie to me. Here we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Nice and rectified. So, here is Dune. It is a rather large map, rather large and open plain of absolute chaos that sits before us. It doesn't look very imposing. The problem that I see off the rip is there's not much water, and that kind of fits into the whole Dune world, if I understand correctly. We've got a bad water source over here. Looks like we've got a couple geothermal fields on the other side over here, so that'll be nice for engines, for geothermal engines, so we can get some power up and running. Hopefully these don't explode on us like they did in the Timberpunk 2 map. And we got our mine over here. Okay, so that's not bad. Looks like we've got a water source down here. I'm going to assume that that's in a negative water source. All right, we've got another mine over here. We got some scrap over here as well. We've got a couple blockages here for some strange reason. I'm not entirely sure what those are for. Okay, and as we roll over here, we've got plenty of lumber to tear into, plenty, well, I wouldn't say plenty. We've got a very small piece of real estate that's irrigated, and I can see that being a little bit of an issue for us because there's not much space for us to produce water here. So we might have to blitz quickly into something along the lines of the hydroponic gardens, which requires some metal blocks. So that might be something that we need to pursue pretty quickly. That, of course, requires burning through a fair amount of science to get that up and running. And that will take 200 science there, and then there's another couple hundred science for the smelter as well as the scavenger flags. And of course, all the power required for that. We might be able to run all of that power-wise off of those two for a little bit. Okay, we've got the geothermal engines, 160, so that's not going to be too hard. I don't see any artifacts floating around, so we won't be able to take advantage of that for this playthrough. Now, I don't want to necessarily dig too deep with the layer tool, because I do understand that there are a couple surprises plotted throughout the rest of this playthrough that I don't really want to spoil myself of. I want to check out what this is doing over here, honestly. So we're gonna look at this real quick. I'm not gonna look at too much else. Okay, so there are a couple explosives right there off rip that we have to be concerned about. Okay, we're just gonna hide that real quick. I don't know what that's going to do, how that's gonna look. Oh no, that's fine. That's a lot of explosives, but it's okay. Those are all over there, right? That shouldn't directly affect us in a tiny little corner of the map, right? Right? Okay, all right. So we just gotta be concerned about explosives going boom, giant worms trying to eat our beavers, and surviving, and then hopefully thriving at some point in the near future. All that to say is I'm very excited to try to get this running. So let's do that. Of course, let's figure out what our first steps are, and the first steps always look like acquiring water. Of course, we have a water seep here, so that's really not going to provide us in provide us the most amount of water off rip, so that'll kind of stink. And this is an interesting layout right there, so at least we'll have a way to mitigate the bad water. When it becomes a bad tide, we can just dam that up or levee that in, and then throw some floodgates, if not sluice gates, if we haven't already unlocked those at that point. We can get in there and take care of that right there. I'm thinking we're gonna have to clear cut a fair portion of this and make maybe this half is going to be all foodstuffs for us, and we're gonna do lumber on this side, I guess, and then just make sure that our blueberries don't get eradicated, because we are playing on the Iron Teeth yet again, my favorite faction of the two. So then we'll have to keep that in the back of our mind as we move forward. We do need to have access to blueberries, otherwise this is going to be a very short run, and we don't like short runs here. All right, how are we going to tap into this? We can't really... I don't really want to tear out too many of these blueberry bushes, and we're going to have to, I think, probably rip out these trees here, and then we should be fine with a singular pumper if we do not go too far in the total beaver population. If we maintain a beaver population of 10, even 20, 20 is going to be pushing in on a singular water pumper. That's going to be a huge pain. Okay, so we're going to have to be very concise with all of our placements with a lot of this stuff, and thankfully, I've been learning how to do that in a couple of the playthroughs on some of our videos that we've been doing lately on the live stream. So let's go ahead and be very conscientious of all of the things that we mark for cutting so that we can get those things taken care of first. So that'll be the priority for those to get marked down and cut, at least for those guys right there. And then we go ahead and grab... So as I understand it, they go in a circular pattern out from their scavenger or their flag, right? So they're going to go towards the closest one first. So if we want to take advantage of this lumber over here, then we could just grab a path from the main thoroughfare there. Go ahead and grab another lumberjack flag here, and then we can mark all of this for cutting without it causing an issue for our one lumberjack flag over here that we'd like to have focused on all of that right there. We might throw in a second one just to get that out of the way as fast as possible, because they will have to run back and forth a couple times to move the lumber off of the oak piles, as they are massive and have lots of lumber sitting on and around them. So that'll be something that we'll want to get knocked out of the way, so that'll be good for us there. All right, what else do we need? I would love to have this in here somewhere. Probably don't want to cover up too many of our berries. There are a few berries in here, but I would also like to get rid of those berries soon-ish. This thorn bush is going to be a huge pain in my side. It's going to be a thorn in my side. Bad jokes. Okay, that covers down a fair portion of the green real estate that we have, so that'll be nice. We could just do this here, though, for now. This will be a temporary solution. We'll get that in there, and we'll mark what we can with kohlrabies. We don't want to necessarily block our access to our path, which we already have, so that's cool. So let's not mess up our water path. That'll go over to there. So we're going to get that water out of the way from there. I really don't want to tear out berries right now, because that'll be a food source, at least for a small or for a short period of time. Okay, that'll work. We'll get that in there. This will be where we start throwing in a few of these. Kohlrabi, that's really not that much in the way of kohlrabi, which is really, really annoying. But it will have to do. And we're going to place... Oh, I've already foobarred it yet again. Okay. Get that out of the way. that all the way. We're going to have to place our water pumper like right here. So we could have one. That's fine. I'm not going to be bothered about losing out on one or two pieces right there. And as time progresses, we can get out and deeper into the little pool here. So that'll provide us some water and some real estate for us to acquire said water. That is fine. We can remove these dams and blockages. The problem with these things is they take 1,000,000 years and a half to actually rip through. So we'll have to get through that at some point, but right now that's totally fine. And I think we're going to need to blitz science. Science is going to be an absolute requirement to push through as soon as possible, as fast as possible, honestly, so that we can meet all of the needs for making this place into a wonderful place for us to live and reside in, and make Dune our Dunetopia? Is that a thing? Can Dunetopia be a thing? You know, we're going to call it a thing. We're making it a thing. So there's that. Nothing you can do about that. Okay, so we got food. We have a potential future water. We want to get in a lumberjack, or not a lumberjack guy. Words. A gatherer flag. Probably... Does that have access? It does not have access. We want access to all of that. And I think we should be able to hit that with that guy right there. You can almost reach that, and then we'll have to onesie-twosie mark some of this for cutting as well, just so that we can have a path. Let's get that all marked there. That all marked there, and we'll go ahead and mark that guy for cutting it when and if it pops up. So that'll be good for us, and that shouldn't be too much of an ask for these guys. Kind of don't want to touch these two real quick. I would rather focus on those two. We can snake around to get to that some way or another. Like doing something like this. Maybe we can rip that out and put this right here for now. Yeah, that meets the intent there. At least for a little bit. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, these will pop in 12 days, 12 days, 12 days. So all of these have reached maturity, but will not actually pop any berries for us for a hot minute. So that means that we could probably just go ahead and rip out some of these seedlings and get them out of the way, because they are not useful to us right now, but I'd rather the builders be focused on something else. One thing that we can do to help with our overall longevity is get some housing in here. So let's go ahead and start thinking about housing. Not too much on the, not really that high on the priority list, so we're going to go ahead and drop that priority wise and get that out of the way, and we'll do the same thing as far as a campfire back here. We'll give them that spot right there to entertain themselves, and that'll be something nice for them to do back there. Again, dropping that as the highest priority. I don't want that to interfere with the... It shouldn't interfere because we placed those last, and that should allow for that to go in, but we can't really place the water pump for a hot minute, so we're just going to have to let that ride for now. Okay, what else are we missing? We've got food. We don't have water. We can do storage. So let's go ahead and start thinking about storage. We have plenty of material floating around, so I don't anticipate there being a material shortage for us to start putting in larger storages right now. So we can grab that. I remember how to button. Here we go. And we'll go ahead and do this. Put that in like such as, so that'll be good. We can pull that back here. We're going to make this berries, and we're going to make you kohlrabi. I don't think we're going to get to the point where this will get anywhere near being filled up, but it will be nice when push comes to shove. We'll drop this as a minor priority there, and that should work for us storage wise, so we don't have to be concerned about breaking buildings down if we need to move anything, which in theory shouldn't be an issue anymore, but old habits die slowly, I suppose. Okay, science will get us into that. I would like to we're going to have to actually get a power wheel up and running, and that's kind of fitting for this dunescape. You know, get an old-fashioned power wheel in here, and we can fit that back in here, get that out of the way. This is going to irrigate a little bit more out as this fills up, I believe. We might be able to plant a little bit more back in this area, but we won't know until that gets up and running. And then we also are going to need our industrial lumber mill attached right there. Then we'll start working our way towards our gears at some point. We'll go ahead and drop this workplace down to 1, so when that does get built, it doesn't become an issue for us. We'll drop these 2 to the lowest priority as well. Maybe put this one and this one at a regular priority, and the third one can be at that priority. And I feel like we've already exceeded the total amount of beavers that we have available to us. Anyway, let's go ahead and hit this button. Oh my gosh. Stuff's exploding. Okay. What is exploding and why? Why are we exploding? What is exploding? What is explode? Okay, something is... I am concerned. What is happening? I'm very, very afraid. No. Help. Help. It's okay. All right. Little explodey happy there at the beginning. Everything's fine. Okay, everything's fine. We'll be fine. Let's just speed things up for now. That did not irrigate out much further. It did a little bit. It did a little bit, so that's good. So we can plant a few more kohlrabi in here, and that'll be a good thing. And they're working on this tree right here for us, so that's also a good thing. I'm very happy about that. Good. Okay. I'm very, very afraid of whatever that was. And I am not here for that. Okay, so that is still not out of the way. They need to pick up those 6 logs for us, and we can get that going. And then we can go ahead and grab this deep water pump, throw that in right there. I'm going to pause this real quick, and I want to put in our small tank right here. That's going to be water. And we can go ahead and rip these out right here. I feel like that is totally acceptable, and we can go ahead and start marking the rest of this lumber back here for cutting, and we might as well just go ahead and clear the rest of this out, because I am wanting to use this as our primary piece of real estate for our farming for now. So that'll be fine. I kind of want to get down here and do the same, but that's okay. We'll get to that eventually. So that is good. Lumber's coming in on this end, so that's fantastic. And I would like to make sure that that gets a priority, and I want this to have a moderate priority so that we can get this cleared out and have a bit more real estate for our planting. This has already gone in. We've got a couple beavers in here that are already planting their kohlrabi, so that is fantastic. We need to plus up the work hours so that they can continue to build the things that are absolutely required. By that I mean water. Water is an absolute requirement, guys. And a place to store said water is also an absolute requirement. So let's go ahead and not... I really should have just used the copy-paste function there, but this is fine. We'll just copy the function of that building, and that'll be good. We do have a couple bits of water already inbound, so that will provide for our overall happiness. We got this in really fast. Normally this takes a couple days for us to get the farmhouse in and get all of this up and running. So that is really, really good that we've got that in and out of the way. So that'll be fantastic for our beavers, as this already is growing, and inside 2.5 days, or just outside of 2.5 days, that will be complete, and that will be huge for us. Okay, We can mark the rest of this back here for cutting as well, since this is already expired. Go ahead and mark the rest of this for cutting, and go ahead and tap that as well. So that'll be good for them to work on for the next 6 to 9 minutes while they run and do that. Builders are building our water tanks, so that is good. I would love to get in a second water tank or a water pumper in here. Just because we'll be fine. We just won't exceed fine for a hot minute. And I would love to exceed fine. And the faster that we can store up a copious amount of water, the more we're able to survive longer droughts and not be too concerned about the next cycle, whatever that may be. Let's go ahead and hit that 3x speed, get things back up and running where I like to be. I don't like the fact that these are still 11 days from popping, which is insane to me. Yeah, that's fine. And I'm also very concerned about the large explosions that we had going off about 5 minutes ago. So, you know, there's that too. We'll keep that in the back of our mind as things proceed. And I would also like to hit that button, flip that around, throw those in right there, and that will be good. We can bring that up as a priority so that can get rectified and be a place for us to store even more lumber, and we will throw that in right there as well. Now we've got a breeding pot in, just a matter of getting berries and water to it. Water is slowly being pumped in. We've got 20 units right now on day 3, which is not the greatest. I would like to see more of that, so I don't want to push up the work hours anymore. Okay, so I think what we're going to have to do is work our way in here, and I really don't want to do this. What is in the way? Another berry. Okay. Berries, go away. Berries, go away. No. Yes. I want to get water from out of here. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to hit that button. You guys get demolished. I know I said I didn't want to do this, but I also know for a fact that I need to get back there. And I don't, like I said, I want to be able to relax a little bit as we press into the next cycle, whatever that may be. Okay, and we want that to be... Okay, we'll just let them get in there. We'll let them clear all of that out for us, and that will provide us with a good thing. You guys are empty because nobody's in there. We can pause you guys, get into sciencing for us. That'll be good. They've already ripped through all of that, so we can go ahead and pull this over and down into here. Let's go ahead and unmark all of the... Well, yeah, we don't need to unmark all that. We can get a lumberjack flag right here, and that gains access to those guys down there. We can pause you while we get somebody over there to build that. Put somebody in that lumberjack flag. They can rip down here and come in and grab all of that for us. We got 43 units of water. That's good enough for 2 days. 2 days. That's how much water we have available to us, and I don't like that. So that is not what we want. They are hungry, and they are thirsty, and we do have a drought approaching. So that's where we pause the game yet again, rip out a few more of these berries down here, and we also mark these for cutting right here and right here. And I also need this ripped out right there. That should get us into a spot where we can get some more water. That's the last of our berries. Our berries are gone. So we won't be able to actually fill this in and start the reproduction cycle for a hot minute. For at least another 9-ish days hereabouts. So that is not the best. We don't like seeing that, but there's really nothing we can do about that. We planted the kohlrabi as fast as possible. Like, literally as fast as be really possible, honestly. Like, that's the fastest I've ever planted kohlrabi before in my Timberborn time, right? And it still didn't put us in a position where we could actually get in there. You guys are lowest priority as far as workspaces are concerned, so anything that I get turned on means that you guys go out there and you pick all this food for us. And they all went to bed hungry, so that's rather obnoxious and annoying, but it's fine. Okay, they've ripped through all of that. Let's go ahead and come in here. Let's get this deep water pump out and flipped that way. And of course, that didn't quite nearly meet the intent that I wanted it to do. So you get to be a max priority. Rip out right there as well. And we grab this beautiful pathway here. And we grab that, rip that in right there, and that is going to be where we get some additional water for ourselves. Now, of course, they're going to take 5 years to pull all of the food out now because they're hungry, so that just means we're in a constant back and forth, and we have water being pumped out of here. I would love to copy that and throw that in right here, just so that they don't have to move nearly as far to dump water out. Hopefully, that should do. We're going to jump this up to 24 hours, though. And hopefully we'll be able to get out of this food spiral that we are currently in. This is where a second farmhouse would have been beneficial. So don't know if that's going to actually provide us anything right now. But we will get that in, and we've got a day left, and it looks like we are going to be $1 short, which is rather sad and obnoxious, but we've got that in, so that's cool. I'd rather get this built, please, than anything else, and we can pull this down by 1 position to get some additional science up and running, and that will be good for us. And then just a matter of making sure that we have enough water stored up and saved for a prolonged period of time. Right now we have enough for about 5-ish days thereabouts, which is good. I would like to see more. Food's getting into a better position, so that is also good for us, and we are, of course, going to stop pumping as soon as this drought kicks off, because we do not need to be eating through this water, which is maintaining our food stocks for now. How long do we have? We still have 6 days until we can get some additional berries up and running, and that is not good. And we're going to go ahead and come in here, pause those guys for us. We've got essentially 6-ish days for this period, and we are going to pull you down by 1, pull you down by 1, change you over to that, actually, and change you over to that. Now they should be able to cycle things appropriately, and that should meet the intent there. Now you are unnecessarily in there, so you get out of there, go do something productive with your lives, and by that I mean go help with harvesting our foodstuffs so we don't run into an issue moving forward. We have 104 science, so that is enough for us to go ahead and get our forester unlocked, and on this side, and planting some additional blueberries for us, as well as lumber, which will be a fantastic thing, which means we can go ahead and mark more of this stuff for chopping. I really should have just went ahead and marked all of that for chopping. I thought I pulled this down to 20 hours. That's my bad, guys. 5 days worth of a drought, and we've got 4 days left. Still 91 units of water floating about the cabin, which is totally acceptable, and I am here for it. And now we can start working on ripping out some of these additional random tidbits here that are going to be a problem for us. 86 science, so that is in a good spot. Next up, we're going to have to get into gears, so let's look at wood. Gear workshop is 100. 100 science, which is not the worst, so that is good. Let's go ahead and get this ready for our planks. Moving forward, we do have a spare beaver, and we can turn that into 2 spare beavers. Let's turn that on and turn that on. Let's get some more gears or planks up and running for us. You, my good sir, don't need to be doing anything right now because there are no berries for you to be doing anything with. Just obnoxious and annoying. That is almost gone. So that is good and not obnoxious and not annoying. I really want to know what exploded over here. I'm sorry. Distracted by explosions. I really, really, really want to know what that explosion was. I'm very concerned by that. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's fine. All right, what is unstaffed? Unstaffed is that inventor's hut. Yes, I'm aware. That is fine. We've still got 3 days remaining in this drought. We've got... Okay, we had just under 2 days worth of water available to us. We can turn this back on. Pump a little bit of this out. I don't want to pump out too much because that's only about half a tile remaining. We'll get back up to about 60 units and we'll pause it again because I don't want to lose any of our food due to it expiring on us, drying out, which would be awful. And I would love to get over here and clear out some more of this area for ourselves. I want to be taking advantage of all of this irrigated area. What is down here? Oh, what are you? Oh, that's a water seep. Oh, that explains why. Okay. 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 There's water there. I was wondering why there's a little bump out here. Now we know. That explains why this is all green too. I should have caught on to that. That's what I get for not noticing. Okay, cool. Now we have something to work towards. We can come down here and rip that out. This will fill even more of this in, and that means that we probably don't need to be doing that quite yet. Because that's where all of our berries are coming in right now. We've ripped out the rest of the berries up top, which means we're going to want to plant some more of our blueberries up here like this, like that. Plant some more back here and more back there. And yeah, really should have thought about that. Should have thought about that. Okay, well, if we open this up, that's going to expand the total. That's probably what these natural dams are to indicate where the irrigation goes. I see you, map dev. I see you. Okay. So that's good. I really should have noticed that earlier. It would have made my plans a little bit different. But this is fine. Yeah, this is fine. I want to let all of this pop. We can gather all of that foodstuffs, all these berries, get our beaver population up and running in a positive direction. We only need about 50 to 100 berries to ensure that we have sufficient population growth or maintenance, is what I'm thinking. And that will ensure at least a modicum of survival. Hopefully. I want to get all this marked as best we can. So that is good. We have the 132 science, so that means that we can come in here and unlock the gear workshop. So I can go right there, burn that 100 science. And then the next thing that we need to be focused on is power. I want to get the geothermal engine up and running today at some point. That will require 30 planks and 50 logs, which we don't necessarily have quite yet. Doesn't help that I've had to pull them from other work positions or other things. That's already down to 2. You're injured probably from working in here with the low chance of injury there, which is kind of stinky. Do I have the science to unlock this? I do not. Where are we? Oh, I was supposed to have paused you an hour ago. That was a terrible mistake. That was a mistake. I should have paused that. Yep. Fine. That will hold out for the last half a day, hopefully. And then These are relatively drought resistant, so they'll be fine for a second or two. Another thing that we want to also do is gain access to... Yeah, there it goes. These go out in 2 days. That's fine. You're all sat on your bums because you have nothing to do. You can't reach anything, so you go do something else with your hands. Please and a thank you. I want to actually come over here and take care of the rest of these oaks back here. So can we get that in over here and here? And grab this path, run that across there, connect that right there. That will pause our science for a moment, but we can go ahead and rip that guy out there. We can get 2 scientists running for a minute. I really want to get in there and get that going for us, but I really need the water first, so that means that you guys get to be paused for a minute. We have 34 planks and 70 logs, which is enough for our geothermal engine, which will be fantastic. I wish this was a little closer, but it is not, so we'll just have to make do with that fact, which is fine. Now we are back into getting all of the material back up that we need. The sooner that happens, the better. That will provide us with food and water for the next drought and for the inevitable bad tide that is going to occur. Now, what was the science requirement for stairs? 70 science for stairs. We're going to have to get in there and do something about that. And we are probably not going to want to tear these blockages out until we have a sluice gate system or something. Or we can put our floodgates in front of there, but that's 150 science, which we do not have, and we also want 160 science for our geothermal engine. We want a lot of science. That's what I'm learning today here, chat, is we have a need for a lot of science, and there goes all of those berries. Okay, you are now berry king, okay? And I've realized that I've probably blocked off your access to half those berries, and that is entirely on me. Okay, we get that all marked, get that out of there. That will recoup a number of our berry requirements, so that is good. Happiness just went up a little bit somehow. Probably lost one of our guys that's been living out in the open. We have a drought on the way yet again. Another short temperate cycle. That's absolutely atrocious. I do not like that. I would love for that to get chopped down. They can't reach that from the top, though, and I would love for a way to gain access to all this without removing a berry. But it does not appear as though that's going to be an option unless I tear that out, which, honestly... move that. Can you focus on these guys right here? Like, just tear those trees out right here. Right there. Right there. That's your number one job in life. So I can move this over to there. And then that is not a tear out place. That can go in away. Now we can get even more of those berries, which isn't much, but it is something. We might go ahead and tear that out anyway. I will want to tear this one out because I do want to gain access to that down there. So we're going to lose a berry bush anyway, which is really sad. Hold up. Let's not rip it out quite yet, though. Get the berries off of there. Then we can rip it out. There we go. That's what we want to do. All right. So that is good. Pull this down to 1 builder right now, though. We don't need 2 moving quite yet. And let's see where else we can infiltrate this this work area. We can sneak into here, but I don't want to burn the science, but I kind of want to burn the science. We're going to have to burn the science at any point, so might as well just do it now. Let's do that. Let's get that in there before that spreads, because berries and trees do spread everywhere for everyone. All right. Water's in a much better position, and we might as well just go ahead and copy this over. Get a couple more things of water in, because you can never have enough water. And that'll be a fantastic for those guys, and we can start thinking about moving this over here and here. Probably pausing one of these guys so we can get somebody back into build for us. We're pausing this guy for a little bit so we can get 2 builders going. I want to keep science still moving at least 2 science per hour, which would be quite nice for us. Go ahead and get that in right there. Let's see. How are you doing? You're doing okay. You're working your way through it, which is good. Which is quite good. And you also need 120 science for the levies. I've neglected our levy requirements as well, but that's fine. We're going to pause those 2 because we want that water to be saved for the next go around, and that'll be a glorious thing for us. All right, we're in a much better spot now. We've got the capacity to continue feeding our berries, or our breeding pods, with berries, which is a good thing. We do have a spare beaver floating about the cabin now, and we have 2 as well, so we could probably get planks back up and running as well. We do not need 2 people in there, so we can keep somebody, or a couple individuals, still sciencing it up for us, which would be huge. I would love to find a place to get a few more beavers, but I really don't have that much in the way of capacity to do so. We could expand our beaver population. I'm not opposed to it. I'm really, really not opposed to it. Let's think about that. I think that's there to there. And I think we'll be fine with 20. Maybe, hopefully. And again, with the injured beavers. Okay. We're going to have to do something about that. So let's go ahead and we'll burn the 80 science for that. I'll have you know that I'm doing this for you there, friend. Okay? What are they building on right now? Probably the water tanks, which is fine. We need the water tanks. We do have 5 days left in this drought, which is not the greatest, but it will work. I don't want to give this a priority bump, just so we can get that guy back into the working. Back into working. That's the English language that I know how to speak, allegedly. We are very much not keeping up with the... You guys get paused over there, and you'll get paused over here. We're going to pull you down by 1. And hopefully we can get this in shortly. And that'll get in shortly. That'll provide us with a little bit more real estate for us to work with. Get more kohlrabis in, which would be huge. The hugest of things. And we'd love to have huge and wonderful kohlrabi in our beavers' mouths. Let's go ahead and plant up as much of this as we can, so we can take advantage of as much real estate that is green while we have it green. And continue to stock our warehouses to the best of our abilities. And so that means probably expanding that a little bit. I probably don't want to put that there, honestly. I feel that that's going to be all green real estate here shortly. And I would like to have that ready for us in the future. Okay. You guys are going to be bored for a moment because I don't have any lumber for you guys to work with. So that means that we now get to wait on all of the beavers to continue to do beavery good things for us. And I think what we might want to do is rip that guy out of there, rip that out of there, put you over here now so you can reach as much of those berries as possible. And that is a good thing for us. So let's go ahead and get that going. Let the daytime resume. And that'll be good for us. You don't need to be in there right now. So that means we can get more lumber moving. More lumber. Do the lumber. Lumber for me, please. Go ahead and mark all this for cutting down here too. All that for cutting as well. That is going to be underwater here shortly. 153 science, which is grand. We can get that moving a little bit faster at that speed. This is waiting on lumber to go in. We need 70 lumber for that. We do have the science to come over here and unlock the geothermal engine. So let's go ahead and unlock that. Throw that in there. Good thing we unlocked the stairs because we're going to need that to get over there. So let's go ahead and start making our way downtown. Walking fast. We are not quite running with scissors yet. So that is a good thing. There's a bad water source over here. That is an active bad water source too. So we'll have to keep that in the back of our mind as well moving forward because we will need that for reasons. Did I mark both of you for harvesting? I did. So that explains why nothing got replanted. That's entirely on me. We can recoup some of our lumber by taking those guys out. They are no longer needed there anymore. And you can go be a scientist for a minute because you are not planting anything right now. These still have a couple days actually. So that's kind of a moot point for us to have done that at that point in time, but that's fine. Do, however, want to see how much of this you can reach down there. You can reach a little bit. That'll be good. That's fine. We do have our second breeding pod in, and everybody's now housed appropriately, so that'll be good. We'll be at 20 as these breeding pods catch up with everything moving forward. So that will be good for us. Sweet. Do we want to uncap this now? Not really. I would like the science to get the floodgates in, and I also need the science for the levees. Which means we need 270 science, and again, there are no relics floating around that I have seen quite yet. That would be good for us to work with. And I haven't heard any of our worms floating about the cabin either, so that is kind of scaring me. I don't like the fact that I haven't heard any of them in a minute, so we're going to have to keep them in the back of our mind as well, because they will probably start getting very antsy about how far we're expanding right now. So let's just keep that in mind. Jeez Louise. Okay. Okay. Well, there's that. Help. Okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. There's nothing to concern yourselves with here. Everything's fine. I think we can just go ahead and rip all these out. That is acceptable. We're doing fine on berries. We don't need that ripped out. We want to maintain that. Oh, that was... that was too well timed. And I'm very concerned about my... yeah. Yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on my pants. Oh, that was too dirty. That was way too dirty. That was super dirty. Oh, I did not anticipate that happening at that exact moment. So I guess this this map builder doesn't like to actually give you a little bit of warning about any of the cores going off and being, oh my goodness, no warning whatsoever. It's just like, hi, how are you? I heard you haven't heard from us for a little bit. How would you like to talk about your car's extended warranty? I would like to not talk about that. And boom. Oh, that got me too good. That got me way too good. No, I wasn't. There's water under there. There's water over there. Oh, that's cool. That is really cool map design. It all kind of makes sense. Like each of these, yeah, that's really cool. You gotta hand it to the map designer here. This is map developer here. This is really neat. That is really cool. He's using, or he or she is using wonderful things to like highlight where things are gonna happen. So that is pretty darn cool. I am thoroughly impressed by what I'm seeing here. That is really cool. Now, this also means that there's going to be a source for bad water ripping through here in the near future. Oh, that is a huge river. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Now I'm concerned because there's bad water, negative irrigation there. And these are probably negative sources. Let's see. Which one are these? Are these the negative sources? Yep, those are negative sources. Okay. So that's really interesting. Really, really interesting. Okay. Okay. All right. Now we we learned something today. By learned something, I mean it had we're just. I need to be concerned. The entire map keeps changing on us, and I'm here for it. That is really, really cool map design. You can be somewhere else. We don't need you in there. You can go science for us. I would love to probably... I think we're good on lumber for a little bit. You can go and help out in the building process. I would love to have this up and running relatively soon. It just takes a minute to get all the lumber over there. We have 2 kits now, so we've had at least 1 breeding pod pop off, providing us with copious amounts of happiness for our beavers. We could throw in a small little bit of happiness by throwing in a shrub here. You know, beavers like shrubs. We do have another drought, so we had a max temper cycle. That's fantastic. That means we also have another 3 days to continue pumping these out. We're pumping this out and acquiring as much water as we can. This next drought has a potential to be a long one, like a really long one. And I'm not a fan of long droughts, you know. That means storing up as much water as feasible would be recommended. I'm of the mind to go ahead and start maybe ripping this out now so we can fill this entire area in. We're going to lose what berries are in here. But we do have these already at maturity. And that will provide us with enough berries to maintain our beaver population at this point. And we'll be able to expand further as this irrigates the entire area. So let's go ahead and do that. That means... Hello? Hello. There we go. There we go. So that means also ripping you out right there. I don't want to... We're going to burn through a lot of our planks getting that in. Got 12 out of 30, so that's 18 planks remaining. We'll have enough, I think, to put in a floodgate. Or 2 floodgates. That should be fine for that problem. Okay. And that should be okay in theory. All right, let's go ahead and do that. Let's give that the priority. We can continue to work down here, pull all of that out. We will get somebody in here to do that, to rip out these, or to grab these berries. Okay, yeah, that checks. Okay, so we will flip this over, put this in as well, give this a minor priority bump. I'd rather get that built than the power. It's going to take us 5 years to run all the power over here for that anyway. They have started ripping these out. It's going to take a hot minute. Do I have 2 builders in here? I do, so they should be able to tackle both of those at the same time, so that'll be good. This will provide us with a fair amount of water down here. I would love for that already went in. Good. Brilliant. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. There it is. So that is going to let water escape. Now we need to get these guys out of here and get that out of here as well so we can continue to pump water out. That did irrigate about as far as I thought it would. Okay, so that is cool. Now that also means that we are going to want to find a place to continue pumping this out. That means that I had thought about doing this, but I had not actually accomplished said desired task, which means ripping that out, ripping that out. Get one more guy into here to help get all of that food out of there, which would be really good for us. This is fine that it's underwater, but we can have them empty that out at some point in the near future. That'll be good for us. And now we've got a lot more real estate to work with. We can also start ripping out some more of these blockages for us. That'll be awesome. That will be huge. I don't want to touch the thorns quite yet because thorns are very not good for our beavers. So we'll go ahead and rip those out at their earliest convenience. That'll be good. This has provided us with a fair amount of water. That is beautiful. Now, we can continue to pump this out for a little bit longer. As long as we maintain this internal pool, we will not run into an issue with this foodstuffs down here. So that'll be good. At least in my mind, that'll be a good thing for us. So this guy can pump through a portion of the drought, which is fine. But of course, I want to get the secondary pumper in here as soon as possible, which will be really nice. But that also means that we need these guys to be a little bit faster on the harvesting of these kohlrabi, which it doesn't appear as though we'll get this in before this drought in, or this temper cycle in, sorry, which is fine. How are we doing on this over here? I believe they've got almost all the planks in. We're just waiting on the logs to get over there, which is fine. We've got plenty of logs floating around. You can continue pumping because, again, that is fine for us. And I think that's a good spot to call it there as we roll into cycle 4. I am very excited about this playthrough. I think that this map has some pretty fun and exciting things for us to be very concerned about moving forward. The random worm attacks are going to give me so much to be concerned about moving forward. And I am looking forward to finding all of the fun little hidden things here and about all over this world. So I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. If you did, please hit that like button. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would appreciate that as well. And we'll catch you all in the next episode of Dune. Of Timber Dune Z? Timber Dune. We're going to call it Timber Dune. I love it. All right, guys. Have a fantastic day. Stay safe out there. Stay thirsty. Stay moist. Keep rocking for a world. We'll see you all in the next episode of Timber Dune Z. I'm out. See ya!